Welcome to our podcast. I'm Trenton.
I'm Guy.
I'm Edwin.
I'm Avi.
Today we'll be talking about the Crucible play, which was about the Salem witch trials that happened in 1670s, which had many people falsely accused of being witches, which led to multiple deaths and lots of hatred going through the town of Salem. Edwin, why do you think that the girls started accusing people?
I think they started accusing people to try to clear their names after they got caught trying to do the spells to make the guys fall in love with them. So after that, they just started accusing random girls of witchcraft so they can kind of like clear their names. Right?
Yeah, and it was like a really religious background in those times, so they really wanted to keep the towns cleansed of witchcraft or any demonic work.
How about you, Guy? What do you think?
I agree with what you said because they didn't want to be hung because if you were like considered to be like a witch, you'd be hung or like killed with like brutally.
Yeah, they'll be hung. So yeah, that's probably why.
And Avi, what do you think about what John Proctor was trying to do to prevent the people from being accused?
I think he was doing the right thing because most of these people that were being accused were falsely accused and accused without evidence, yet they were still hung.
Oh yeah, he was like basically just trying to like tell everybody that they're just confessing to not get killed. But yeah, I think he did the right thing too, trying to even spoke kind of like incriminated himself, saying that he did what's the commandment, the lust one?
Yeah, the lust
Yeah,
commandment.
he kind of just.
So he incriminated himself and confessed to the lust commandment to try and get the people to confess to their crimes or their crimes that they had done to save them from being hung.
Yeah.
And Guy, what do you think about that?
I think he did a good thing because he didn't want to like give his name up to like a lie. He didn't want to like he wanted to tell the truth and he didn't want to like hurt his like reputation because he had a good reputation in like the town.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And John Proctor, he instead of living in the town of Salem, like all the other people, he was not living in the town of Salem. He moved out of the town, but he was in his own area with his wife Elizabeth and daughter Mary Warren. And
I don't think that was their daughter. I think she was one of the servants that they had.
It was like a helper, like kind of like a maid.
It was like she was more like a servant. I don't think she was the daughter.
Okay. And well, so they lived by themselves, and he lived with his wife and his helper servant Mary Warren, and they heard about the accusations in the town of Salem, and they knew that they weren't right and just, so he came and tried to fight them. But Guy, what do you think about why all the girls just kept on accusing people left and right?
Because they didn't want because I think maybe they thought like some people knew like about what happened in the woods and they tried to like manipulate so that the people so that they didn't get in trouble or anything.
Yeah, I agree with Guy. They were really just trying to save themselves and not taking into account of like other people's lives.
Yeah, because even Proctor and then even Hale started catching up onto them, saying that they were fakes. They were just pretending.
So you mentioned Reverend Hale. Could you say more about him?
Yeah, he was like famous religious guy kind of, like just higher authority, I guess. They called him over to be on the witch trials and see if they're actually witches or not.
Yeah. What can you tell me about him, Guy?
At first he was with the court and he wanted to side with the court, but in the end after innocent people like Proctor got accused, he switched sides and he quit the court eventually because of how corrupt and how manipulative the court was, how they were easy to manipulate is what I'm.
Yeah,
How unjust they were.
Yeah, how unjust they were.
Yeah.
So the court was just basically, they were just so religious that they just believed what anyone was saying.
Yeah, they believed that nobody, they believe like the girls when they said that they saw the yellow bird when Mary Warren was being accused, but there was nothing there. They were just saying stuff so that they could like get Mary accused or like get John Proctor even accused, like anybody they could.
And what do you think about when John Proctor had confessed to the lust, but then his wife said that he hadn't? Why do you think that she did that?
Well, it's kind of just like in the movie how it said it's like a common thing to lie about. You wouldn't just like rat out your husband like that.
Yeah, I think that she wanted to protect him even though he committed a sin against her.
And she was like super religious too. She like had no lying or anything. So to her it was like a big thing to lie.
Yeah, so she really loved that John Proctor.
I agree with what you say because she was like really like loyal to John Proctor and she wanted to do like anything to protect him from being like killed. And even though she didn't know that he confessed to being with, like having an affair with Abby, she still said what she thought. And yeah.
So about Abigail, so in the play, she was just like she just kept on trying to push herself onto Proctor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did Proctor think about her?
Well, he said at times he did, but he doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. He just wants to be with his wife and his kids. He wants to like let that go, put it in the past.
Yeah, I agree because he already has a life. He already has like with his like wife. He doesn't want to like throw away his like marriage for Abby, and he doesn't really like Abby anymore. His like feelings for like were gone a long time ago. Yeah.
And how did the judge, Danforth, how did he react when the people were saying like, oh, the girls are lying, they're not saying the truth, like that they were calling basically his court unjust?
He didn't really believe them, and he said that they were like trying to overthrow the court, which wasn't like really the truth because the girls were actually lying.
He believed them and all. He like even like when the Proctor and he brought like a list of people that say they're fakes, and he wanted to and put them all of them in jail. Those all the names.
He didn't put them in jail, but he took out like an arrest warrant for them, but they didn't really go to jail. They were just like brought to the court to ask questions.
And then who was it that didn't want to like reveal who it was, or like
I think it was Corey.
Yeah, he got stoned, right?
He got stones placed on him because until like the truth came out.
No, it wasn't until the truth came out. He did not confess to anything, and that they put the stones and covered him in the stones, and then he died from being pressed by stones. So overall, what did you guys think about the play?
I think it was all right. It wasn't like the best. It was just like
2:30.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
It was interesting, but it wasn't like the best movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting how everything played out, and then even at the end, I didn't expect it either.
I think it really depicted well how it was back in the day with courts and trials, and how false accusations were easy to like manipulate and prove.
Yeah, it shows like how like sometimes the real world can work. Like sometimes even though like some people are telling the truth, the court might not believe them, or people might not believe them and believe what the others are saying.
You're right. And I think that this play really showed how the Salem witch trials were back then, and it reflected it, and how people could easily change and not do the right thing. And that's everything for our podcast.